Hi everyone, I'm thrilled to welcome Mr. Noor Karim Afridi to our podcast today. Mr. Noor is a practicing chartered accountant and associate member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales and a fellow member of ACCA UK. He is a licensed auditor with the Ministry of Economy and registered tax agent with Federal Tax Authority UAE. He also serves as a board member and acts as chairman of the Audit Committee of a financial institution. He acts as a volunteer with CABA in UAE, which is an occupational charity supporting members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales community. He has over 20 years of diverse experience in 4 countries as well as working as an international consultant with the United Nations. Mr. Noor is the managing partner of NOCAF Auditors, providing audit, tax and business advisory services. NOCAF Auditors is a member firm of Daxon Global, which is one of the top 25 accounting networks worldwide. Hi Mr. Noor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alicia, for having me.
First of all, congratulations on you becoming an FTA approved tax agent and NOCAF Auditors on becoming an approved tax agency recently. I know this is a remarkable addition to your impressive list of achievements. How do you view this achievement?
Thank you very much for the congratulations. So basically, yes, that's right. We recently became an approved tax agency with Federal Tax Authority, and myself, I became a registered tax agent. So this is very important because we can now assist our clients, we can represent them in front of the FTA, and we are able to solve the complex problems by representing the client directly. And I think this is a major milestone in the journey of organization to become a full-fledged accounting and taxation practice.
Mr. Noor, with 20 years of experience advising clients across diverse sectors, how have you seen the audit landscape in the UAE evolve over the years?
So it's a very interesting question. Before coming to this part, I would like to say there is a famous quotation that change is the only constant. And in the accounting and auditing industry, we have seen a lot of changes in the past 20 years. From the good old days of manual accounting, where notebooks and registers were used for recording the financial transactions, to Excel and workbooks, to accounting softwares, and now we are in the age of artificial intelligence. So there has been a lot of changes since I started working in the profession. So the interesting part is that the basics remains the same. The primary objective of an audit is to add third-party reliability to the financial statements of an organization, which adds credibility to the financial figures which are reported by an organization. And this adds a lot of credibility. It opens new doors of finance and capital for the organization. So the basics remains the same over all these years. The only change is in the methodology, in the way of working. That is where a lot of changes has happened, and the same is true for UAE. In the UAE also, the organizations have evolved from manual accounting to computerized accounting to cloud accounting now, and now we are going through the interesting phase of artificial intelligence, where it is adding a lot of value to the accounting and auditing profession.
As the managing partner of NOCAF Auditors, what are some key challenges and opportunities you have encountered in providing audit service?
I think the challenges and the opportunities all are in these 3 areas of people, technology and regulations. I think these 3 areas are the areas where a lot of challenges comes. And in those challenges are the hidden opportunities which give us a chance to thrive and become more successful as an organization.
Can you tell me what are the major trends shaping the audit landscape in the UAE right now? How are these trends impacting businesses?
As I said, change is something which always happens. There are so many challenges faced by the industry as a whole, which changes the dynamics of the business. and the businesses have to evolve all the time to meet these changes. And one of the important change is especially in the UAE is the regulatory outlook, which is changing over a period of time. So 2018 was a very interesting time when VAT was introduced for the first time in UAE, which affected a lot of businesses because they had an additional role in their businesses, which was as a collection agent of the Federal Tax Authority, where they are required to collect value-added tax on behalf of the authority, and through quarterly returns and quarterly payments do the submissions to the Federal Tax Authority. So that encouraged a lot of businesses to improve their accounting systems, their reporting systems, and also their compliance systems.
How has the introduction of VAT and Corporate Tax in the UAE affected businesses? And what should businesses be aware of to ensure compliance?
So regulatory compliance is one of the important area for business owners to consider, and especially it becomes more important in the small and medium organizations because they don't have the luxury of having different departments, department heads, and people who are responsible for the various duties and activities. So one person has to perform many activities, and that is where it becomes challenging, facing the competitiveness of the market, facing the dynamics of the business. Sometimes they are unable to cope up with the compliance requirements and do the proper reporting which is required. So VAT and corporate tax was something which enabled the businesses to further improve their recording of the transactions, classification of the transactions, and then reporting of these transactions. So what I have experienced over the years after the introduction of value-added tax was that businesses became more disciplined in terms of management of their accounting systems, and that benefited them in a way where they were able to make better decisions in terms of their business strategic direction, and they were able to realign their businesses based on the various business activities that were performed. So this additional, although VAT and corporate tax are bringing additional compliance requirements, but it is helping the small and medium companies to become more financially disciplined. And as I usually say, financial discipline is the key to success for so many organizations.
In your experience, how are UAE businesses adapting to the latest audit regulations and standards? Are there any common areas where businesses often struggle?
So, as they say that nobody likes change except a wet baby. So change is something which nobody welcomes, nobody likes it, but that is practical life. That is the situation on ground where organizations and individuals have to adopt, they have to change according to the requirements of the situation. So a lot of companies have basically adopted. They were able to change their way of doing business. They were able to implement new control systems in their organizations. They were able to include new technology in their organizations in order to be able to comply with the additional requirements. And those organizations which are more adaptive, which are in a position to change and comply with the additional requirements, in my view, they have seen many advantages in terms of better operations and better profitability.
Mr. Noor, there is a unanimous question from business enthusiasts for you. It's about the applicability of corporate tax to free zones. I hope you can provide us with some clarity on this.
I wish there was a simple answer to that question, but I'll try to make it simple by saying that if a person is qualifying person in a qualifying free zone earning qualifying income, then yes, there is no corporate tax of 9% on the net profit of that business. In order to understand all these factors, the qualifying person, qualifying free zone, qualifying income, it requires a lot of details, which of course are individual to each situation and each business. But in the nutshell, if they are a qualifying person in a qualifying free zone with qualifying income, yes, there is no corporate tax on that.
What are some key compliance issues businesses should focus on to avoid audit pitfalls and potential penalties? Can you share best practices for businesses to prepare for an audit and ensure a smooth process?
So in this, in response to this question, what I would like to say is that businesses should focus on financial discipline. If they are financially disciplined, it will benefit them in multiple ways, and it will also be helpful in avoiding any pitfalls in the audit.
So how can we become financially disciplined?
How to become financially disciplined is to implement proper internal control system in the organization. There should be a defined function for risk assessment of the organization, and the good practices of governance should be followed in the organization. When these three factors are combined, it will help the organization to be a better run organization. The top line and the bottom line of the organization will be better, and audit will also be a very easy process for them without any challenges. Having said that, the small organization usually face challenges in implementing a proper internal control system, and that is where external auditors can assist a lot, where the external auditors can bring a fresh perspective to the organization. They can identify the deficiencies in the internal control system by highlighting the weaknesses in the internal control system, and basically it can nip the evil in the bud. Instead of letting the small weaknesses become big problems tomorrow, the auditors are able to identify these issues which can be addressed in the beginning without making the organizations suffer a lot, or in some extreme cases even it can fail the whole organization and the whole organization can go down. Along with that, I would also like to suggest, considering the evolving situation of the rules and regulations in the UAE, I would recommend that organizations put in place a system where they can remain updated with all the changes that are happening in the compliance arena, in the rules and regulations related to accounting and bookkeeping and auditing. That way they will be knowing all the changes that are being introduced, and they will be able to amend their existing system of compliance with them. And finally, to collaborate and work with the auditors more closely, where they are able to add value to the organization. Of course, the audit report is a deliverable of the audit process that will always be the output of the audit exercise. But along with that, the organizations should collaborate more with the auditors, where they can take benefit from the industry insights of the auditor in terms of benchmarking, in terms of system improvement, in terms of risk assessment. These are all the areas where a small suggestion, a highlight by the auditor can make a lot of difference in the organization.
What do you foresee as the future trends in audit service in the UAE? How should businesses prepare for these changes?
Audit is going to be a mandatory requirement now in the UAE. All the companies will be required to prepare their annual audit report, which shall be submitted to the respective free zone authority as well as to the federal tax authority. The organizations will be required to prepare financial statements according to the international reporting standards, which is the IFRS. All the organizations who are above 50 million, there will be a compulsory requirement to submit their audit reports regardless of their place of registration, be it a free zone entity or a mainland entity. The audit will be a mandatory requirement. So down the road, in order to comply with these regulations, the organizations will benefit a lot by improving their accounting system and a reporting system.
Are there any upcoming regulatory changes or initiatives in the UAE that businesses should be aware of? and how might these impact audit practices?
So regulatory area is an interesting one in the UAE at the moment. There are a lot of compliance requirements, a lot of regulatory changes that are happening, be it anti-money laundering regulations, economic substance regulations, ultimate beneficial owner regulations, and so many other. So in order to comply with all these requirements, the business owners needs to have system in place in order to capture all the changes that are coming in all these regulations, to submit the submissions in time, because in some cases there are huge fines. For example, by missing some submissions, there are fines of 20,000 dirhams and 50,000 dirhams for submission of missing the return. So in order to avoid all these penalties and in order to be a compliant business within UAE, to be able to thrive and take benefit of this wonderful friendly business environment, the organizations now require to have a system in place for compliance. And I foresee that these changes will increase down the road. The rules and regulations will keep on updating according to the international best practices, and it is as much possible, as much necessary to comply with these regulations and keep the systems updated.
What advice would you give to companies looking to enhance their internal audit functions?
Sure. Internal audit is something which adds value to the organization. The first and foremost thing is that internal audit should be independent of the management of the business, and the internal audit should directly report to the board or to the non-executive senior management of the business. That way, the internal audit can perform their role in the ideal way and they can add value to the organization. And of course, the three important areas of risk management, internal controls, and governance are the key areas for internal audit, where they identify the risks, they look at the systems which are in place to mitigate those risks and bring them to an acceptable level. All the organizations which are above a certain threshold should have an internal audit function which focuses on these risks, and these are mitigated well in advance.
What is the threshold?
So it depends basically on the nature of the industry, nature of the function of the organization, and somehow about the operations, geographical coverage of the organizations. So looking at all these factors, there is no defined rule on when an organization should have internal audit function. But it depends on the requirement of the senior management, where they require assurance about these three key areas of the internal audit.
Looking back on your career, what has been the most rewarding aspect of your work in audit?
So as an auditor, as a chartered accountant, I think the most rewarding part is where we as a team are able to help the businesses in identifying the weaknesses in their internal control system and being able to give them advice on how to improve their operations, how to improve their business performance, and then looking at those results and seeing the organization improving based on those observations is, I think, the most rewarding part. And especially working with small and medium organizations where the business owners are expert in their own domain, but sometimes they need additional help in financial analysis and advice, and being able to help in that situation and see the benefits of that to the organization is, I think, the most rewarding part.
Can you tell me in what ways has your career in audit influenced your personal growth?
So, chartered accountancy is a challenging field. First of all, the exams are challenging. Then, of course, the training part to become a fully qualified chartered accountant is something which requires you to come out of your comfort zone and overcome your fears and do those things which are normally considered difficult. So I think all these things to become a chartered accountant, to become an auditor, to become a tax consultant, these require certain level of commitment which a person has to show in order to achieve these designations and reach to this success level. So I think as a person, this has helped me a lot to overcome and improve and reach to become what I'm trying to become now.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great hearing your insights on auditing in the UAE. Before we wrap up, would you mind sharing us about your association with Profound?
So it has been wonderful working with the team of Profound in various areas. We have found the team very professional. The turnaround time is great, and the people are involved in the work that they are doing. They actually try to solve the client's problems, and they always come up with the best solutions. That is something which I really like about Profound team.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast today. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired, hit subscribe and stay profound.